Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Token City Show. Tonight, we have with us Tony Erwin. Tony is a Senior Principal Systems Engineer at Extreme Networks and an angel investor. He is a certified blockchain architect, a member of the Technology Association of Georgia Fintech Society Steering Committee, and a mentor at the Atlanta Technology Development Center. He also possesses a vast expertise building and selling extremely complex systems. He previously was the owner and president of Skyrocket Financial Solutions, and for 10 years served in the U.S. Navy Submarine Force. Hello, Tony. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. It's an honor to be here.
Happy to have you. Let's go on to the first question.
Okay.
You have extensive background in telecommunications, and I would like to know if you see any potential applications for telcos, telecommunication companies, and are these companies interested in any facets of this technology, such as finance, process streamlining? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question. And so when you think about what the carriers are doing, I call them carriers, telecom companies, CSPs, for blockchain, you kind of have I take a step back and look at it from the way that they used to do things and the way that they do things now. And there's been a huge shift in the way these CSPs or telcos provide their services. In the past, they had mostly physical equipment where they used to provide basic telecommunication functions. Think in terms of the phone calls, the SMS text messages, the internet connections. They all had equipment that handled the various aspects of that communication from the mobile device into the carrier network. Today, it's different, right? It's all getting virtualized onto compute, really off the shelf. Dell and HP servers, for example, and using Kubernetes and containers, and that shift from that physical infrastructure to the software-based infrastructure is enabling an entirely new way of deploying and providing services. So, you asked about blockchain. So how does this shift to this container-based compute tie into blockchain solutions? Well, I think it's really foundational for it. And the reason I say that is because, it provides a level of flexibility and speed that really didn't exist before. You could spin up, for example, a software resource much faster than a new hardware resource. And that's overly simplified, but maybe it makes the point. And so telcos and the telco ecosystem are discussing, or in testing solutions even, a variety of different things, in this area, right? So, for example, autonomous networks, right, or closed loop automation. Carriers are talking about this right now, where it's hugely important for them, and where they see themselves in the next 5, even 10 years. It's going to be really big, and maybe we can come back later in the show and talk more about that specifically. But and then another thing they're talking about is federated connectivity. So you've got the example where you've got these mobile carriers, and you want to be able to aggregate as a customer your connectivity into a network. You want to be able to connect from provider A, provider B, and you want it to work, the solution to work seamlessly between them. Well, then there's got to be systems that figure out, well, who's going to get paid where and all that. So and then the other thing is using blockchain to extend. Another very big topic of conversation in the telcos right now is that mobile edge computing, or another term for it is multi-access edge computing, and that's that network architecture that enables cloud computing at the edge of a network. And so, in other words, where you have processes further out close to where the end devices are and where the consumers are, and so being able to track where I'm roaming between providers, or I'm getting a service from provider A and a service from provider B, and I want to connect the two. There's a lot of things that maybe not today, but blockchain is going to help enable new solutions for that in the future. And then, on that topic, on the edge networking, all the major carriers, have announced their own edge cloud solutions. And if you look at what they're all, they've press releases all out there that's public information that There's, AWS partnerships, Google, Microsoft Azure, even IBM and Equinix, and preparation, I believe, for the next logical step, which will again bringing elements of this edge computing, the AI and IoT and blockchain all together in more places. Another thing the carriers are talking about is security. The maintaining security in the midst of all this distribution of network functions is really going to be a big deal, and it is a big deal. And as connectivity and compute gets more distributed, if you think of it this way, you've got more entryways, if you will, into the system. And even our phones are AI capable, right? And so the need for security gets bigger, and so because of all those entryways, you've got APIs all over the place that have to be secured, and the way blockchain solve some of that. Or let me say this: blockchain isn't necessarily built as a specific security solution like you would think a firewall is, but it has many aspects to it to enhance or extend ways of providing security solutions. So the telcos are saying, hey, what can we do with cryptographic proofs to prove that you are you and I am me, and not just telcos, but many other industries as well, but that you are you and I am me, to verify who's performing a transaction. And then you have, with blockchain, you have an immutable record, right? Which is that unchangeable record to prove that a certain entity, performed a transaction at a specific time, and so, then there's also the autonomous execution of a set of predefined rules, right? That helps solve security problems for the carriers. And so, I personally believe that we're at a place where, the various things that blockchain brings to the security solution we're just scratching the surface today of what I think is going to be out there. And then, they're also, the obvious one, I guess, is that providing connectivity to various digital assets and digital connectivity that the providers provide into various blockchain solutions. And maybe I could talk about some specific examples of things that the carriers are doing today. Right there, I know you guys are based in Spain, and I know, right there in your backyard, if you will, Telefonica, they just announced something that's very, very interesting to me. Telefonica announced a partnership with Chainlink Labs, and that partnership allows them to integrate blockchain technology for enhanced security, which was I was just talking about, and they're doing that to prevent SIM card fraud. And so you think the SIM cards identify me onto a network, and so they're using blockchain to be able to thwart fraud and people connecting to their bank accounts and things like that. And so that that's a very large carrier doing something very big in the blockchain space in regards to security. And then, Telefonica, another thing about them, they just announced their own NFT marketplace. You can go buy your own Van Gogh NFT, I guess, at Telefonica. Are you buying NFTs out there, Javier?
Of course.
Of course you are. Okay. Yeah. And so yeah, it's a marketplace, Polygon, and so Telefonica has also made some investments themselves in some other blockchain companies. One that is interesting and is the Helium network. It's a blockchain DPAM, which is decentralized physical infrastructure network, and so that's one of a few that Telefonica has made. Verizon here in the States, they've got their own global blockchain platform service. AT&T has really done a lot in this area. They've got a whole blockchain consulting practice and solution where they provide solutions across a variety of verticals. They've got manufacturing, where they do supply chain related things and goods tracking and management, and then there's a retail aspect to it as well as healthcare that all feed into records management. Of course, healthcare, records management and securing those records is a big thing. So AT&T is doing that, and they have a really, it seems, mature solution that they're doing. And then another, I guess, finally, and one more example, Vodafone announced a partnership with Deloitte, where they're working on a blockchain IoT service that streamline trust in supply chains. for IoT tracking. And so, and that's where they're verifying the provenance of data, IoT data, and the provenance of something that's shipped through a logistics environment, supply chain. So they're using blockchain for that.
Wow, a lot to unpack there. You mentioned sector-specific and otherwise not sector-specific applications that are taking place in this space at the moment. Yeah. And you mentioned in particular IoT, the Internet of Things. And I was wondering whether there's a convergence. Is it taking, people are talking about it, but is it really taking place, the convergence between the Internet of Things and blockchain technology? Is it true? Is it something that is actually factually going to come later in time? What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I think it definitely is true. And, you know, when you look at what the blockchain enables, you know, I think where we are today and where we're going are two, you know, there's a lot of steps to get where we're going, but when you look at the world of Web3 and DeFi and blockchain and as the use of those technologies increase, I think that's going to turn, you know, what is happening with ordinary enterprises today and allow them to become their own financial company, so to speak, because of DeFi and things like that. And IoT is going to play a huge part of that. And, you know, with being able to track, for example, being able to track a device through its shipment, and IoT, you know, feeds data into a blockchain, and then that blockchain receives that data and, you know, verifies it. And then because it verifies it, you know, a smart contract is kicked off and then executes a payment between the providers to not only secure the transaction and you know, solves that problem of trust, but also speeds things up through you know, getting things through the logistics systems faster and supply chains faster. And so there's a lot there. And so AT&T, actually, I talked about AT&T a moment ago. They provide what they call their edge-to-edge blockchain service, and that's, you know, based around IoT. And they have IoT sensors that they sell that you attach to a device. It might get put in a container. It might get put a variety of places, but you know, I mentioned the product going through supply chain, and it that service that they're offering is speeding that data into a blockchain so that you know, it enables, you know, all the transactions that I mentioned earlier. I guess another example is Walmart collaborated with IBM, where they use blockchain to track provenance of products from suppliers to store shelves, and so you know, of course, that involves IoT as well, and so. So yeah.
Yep, a lot of interesting examples in the IoT space that I have to confess, it comes as a surprise to me and a very welcome one. And now I also wanted to touch on AI. We just talked about the convergence between IoT and blockchain. Is there signs of convergence between AI and blockchain? And if so, how does that look like?
Yeah, so between AI and blockchain, this is a big one. You know, you've got, you know, I spoke about mobile edge computing, and, you know, or multi-access edge computing, and that, as I mentioned, it's a huge push right now. And part of the reason I think there's a huge push in the telco world, not only telco world, but hyperscalers as well. When you look at, you know, Amazon and Google and Azure and even IBM, right? They're all offering this edge solutions because I believe all of them see that the industry is moving toward requiring things on the edge. And so you asked me about, you know, AI. How does this all tie into you know, AI, blockchain, and convergence? Well, one of the if you want to think of it this way, maybe a killer app, so to speak, for this is video analytics, as an example. When you think about, you know, can happen in the IoT space is adding video as a sensor that allows an enterprise or a manufacturing company or whatever to collect richer data to generate insights and automate a variety of processes. You've got if you have video, you can run analytics on that video using AI, and you need things like high bandwidth, for high bandwidth to enable all these things and low latency, and there's requirements for this. But many of the reasons that there's a push to the edge is because it needs to be processed locally, right, close to the edge. And so the video analytics use cases, they're pretty broad, but an enterprise customer can use that. They can customize a customer interaction, for example, using video data, and they can use computer vision in the industrial sector to be able to get video analytics to detect if there's a fault in how something was built. You can think about using video to analyze, a car being built or a variety of pieces of equipment getting built, and use video analytics with AI to track that and checking to see if someone is tampering with something or tampering with a container at a port. That feeds into security and surveillance use cases. And so we're already seeing some of these things, some of these examples in blockchain solutions for supply chain. But I believe those are going to be extended, not only with, I mentioned video, but there's even, there's a lot of use cases for even, just small, very simple transactions of data for things like temperature, tracking temperature for a container as it goes through, or humidity, or the location even where something's going through a supply chain. And so all of that feeds, can be, AI can be used to optimize the whole system, can be used to track the whole system. And so, that's a very, very real use case. And looking at this convergence of AI and blockchain, I think one of the big drivers for this today is what's happening with the mobile devices. The new phones coming out are all coming out, with this new Qualcomm chip that's AI enabled, is one example. And I personally believe that's going to help bring crypto to mainstream. Crypto and DeFi and Web3 and all that much more mainstream as more and more, as that rolls out more and more, because the mobile devices are really where many of the transactions are going to take place. Everything from a phone having an NFT on it to give us special access to discounts or consumer benefits, or using connected to Web3 solutions where I can get paid for my interaction with the service. And there's a variety of things, but there's a lot of things happening in that space as well to really improve the user experience. Because today, if you think about it today, it's difficult, right, to interact with wallets and things like that. There's kind of a big learning curve, but there's some things happening, with front end user experience that I've been learning about recently, that things like passkeys, that's going to simplify, signing into an app or a website, as an example, across devices, and smart accounts, and which are programmable accounts that can be created to interact with the blockchain, and embedding wallets into applications is another one that can be on your phone, and multi-party computation is another thing that could make it easier for third parties to sign transactions, and you can do all that from your phone. And so you can have multiple people that all participate in a transaction, that all do it from their phone, and sign a particular or authorize, if you will, a transaction. And so these are all new things that are hitting the street. MPC's been out a little while, but the things that are happening with AI on the phone, I think, are really going to help. And the Web3 movement as well is really going to help, bring all this more into mainstream. And so, the mobile device, I think, plays a huge part of that. And you asked me about AI and convergence of that with blockchain. And, of course, my background, a big part of it is in the, telecommunications and networking space. And so talking about telcos, if you look at the big picture for them, they're this movement and all this development in AI is really putting us on this road, or is providing an enabler, if you will, to this intelligent closed loop automation for them, right? And I've been watching some webinars and things recently in this space, and there's a lot of different vendors and carriers that are talking about the importance to the carriers of closed loop automation, and especially with what's going on with 5G, and I'll come back to that in a minute, I think, but it seems evident now that AI, right, is changing the way we all work, and all industries are going to work. And so for the CSPs that, and where they see themselves in the future, it really has a lot to do with what AI enables. And automation, is not a new concept for carriers, right? They've been doing automation for a while, and it's a big part. Even what I do in my day-to-day role is help automation, the automation environment in CSPs. But with AI being added on to some things that I talked about earlier, right? This highly distributed mobile edge and this ubiquitous connectivity and this world of digital transformation and all that, AI really has to play a role. It's going to play a role, but it must play a role, because there's just too much for humans to process, and the whole thing still work without falling apart, right? I think everyone kind of sees that writing on the wall, so to speak. And so AI is going to become a part of that fundamental part of the network architecture. It'll do things like, OpEx savings is a big part of that, because carriers see that, there's so much happening in the ecosystem now that they have to have automation and intelligent machines, right, to go out and do a lot of this. And there's, new services they want to create as well. Network slicing is one thing that comes to mind. That's a big thing, right? Where you dedicate a slice of bandwidth from a mobile operator, for a particular service, to make sure you get a certain quality of service, or or it gets privacy. And there's a whole bunch of use cases for network slicing, but managing all of that in this new world of, I'm giving you this little slice, I'm giving you this slice, and keeping track of all that is going to become something that they just have to automate. And especially, in this multi-access edge and mobile edge environment, that, being able to go between clouds and all that, blockchain tied together with AI is, a key enabler there, right? To be able to verify, or verify that what you're doing in this automation environment is actually happening, so that when, we bill each other or we pay each other, it provides that proof, right? We all talk about proofs as part of what happens with blockchain. You have zero knowledge proofs and all that, right? But proofs are going to prove that, in the telco environment and many environments where, AI is going to play a role. I think blockchain is going to be used extensively on top of all that to provide the proofs that what the AI did is actually what happened. And so determining, things like who gets paid when, elimination of where we have to have a trust relationship. We can just have everything executed with a smart contract. And, closed loop automation with AI, undoubtedly, it's going to bring many advantages, right? None of this is going to happen overnight, but I do think the pace that it's going to happen is going to surprise us.
For that very extensive explanation. We are almost running out of time, so I would like to ask you, where can people find you? What do you want to tell our audience?
Oh, well, thank you for that opportunity. I mean, I'm available on LinkedIn if anybody wants to connect with me there. Certainly would, love building new relationships, and my email is tony.irwin@gmail. And so, look forward to continuing the conversation. And sorry, I didn't make it very interactive today. I think I waxed on too much, but hopefully it was decent information.
It was extremely interesting information, packed with a lot of nuances and also a lot of hard data, which is something that is not always is easy to come by. Thank you so much, Tony, for being here today with us.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that was Tony Erwin. We hope that you enjoyed the conversation with him today, and we hope to see you here back soon. Bye-bye.